Hello everybody, this is Mr. Kimmel with another screencast for Life Science. In this lesson, we're going to learn a little bit about cells and their history. This slide is your Georgia Standards for this unit. These are your learning objectives for Unit 3. Cell can be defined as the basic building block of life. All living things are made of one or more cells. Another definition of a cell is that it is the smallest unit that can carry on life processes. A scientist named Robert Hooke discovered cells in England in 1665. He sliced a cork and viewed it under a microscope. Corks were made from the cork tree so that he saw with the microscope where tiny, neatly arranged compartments that he termed cells. Shortly after that, a Dutch scientist named Antony van Leeuwenhoek first viewed living cells under a microscope in 1673. He scraped his teeth and viewed the substance with a microscope and discovered bacteria. He also viewed samples of water with a microscope and discovered tiny organisms swimming in them. Today, we call these organisms protists. The properties of cells are combined to form what is called cell theory. Cell theory states that all organisms are made up of one or more cells. Cells are the basic unit of life, and cells come from the reproduction of existing cells. The last point of the cell theory seems like common sense today, but in the past this is not what was believed. Throughout time, people have made ideas based on what they observed about the world around them. For a long time, the Earth was believed to be the center of the solar system. Now we know that the sun is in the center. A long time ago, people believed that living things came from non-living things. This theory is called spontaneous generation. For example, mice hung out in the barns of a hay lot, so people concluded that the mice came from the hay. A man named Francisco Redi disproved the idea of spontaneous generation with a simple experiment. He was believed at the time that rotting meat produced flies. In Redi's experiment, he had 3 jars with meat in them. One of the jars had a solid lid on it, one was covered with gauze, and one was completely uncovered. Over time, only the jar that was open produced flies, because the flies could reach the meat to lay their eggs. Later, when the eggs hatched, it appears that the flies came from the meat, but really, the flies laid their eggs in the meat and then they later hatched. The 2 covered jars did not produce flies, because they were unable to reach the meat to lay their eggs. The correct theory to explain how life arises is called biogenesis. Bio means life, and genesis means to come from. So biogenesis is the theory that living things come from other living things, or life comes from life. Here are the parts of a microscope and work. In summary, all organisms are made of cells. They are the building blocks of life. Cells come from other cells. These 3 facts make up the cell theory. Cells have been studied by people with the aid of microscopes for hundreds of years. Hooke, Leeuwenhoek, and Redi all made important discoveries about cells and life. That's all for now.